Stop being so comfortable. Well, thank you for visiting the Andy George Leadership YouTube channel. Before we jump into the content and before I explain what I mean when I say stop being so comfortable, go ahead and take just a moment and subscribe to this channel. And after this video, make sure you leave comments and share this video. It just helps us out a lot. So what do I mean when I say stop being so comfortable? There's a great quote from Maxwell that says, if we're growing, we're going to be outside of our comfort zone. But isn't comfort the ultimate goal? You know, being comfortable financially, being comfortable emotionally, relationally, being comfortable spiritually. Isn't that the goal of what we're supposed to be trying to do here in life? And that's kind of the problem. Our culture pushes us to be comfortable, to do whatever we want, when we want, with whomever we want, as long as we are comfortable. The problem is that the moment something gets uncomfortable, we tend to push it away or we tend to walk away. I mean, how often have you seen this to be true? Instead of digging in and making hard things work, instead of digging in and seeing something go all the way through to completion, we see people all the time in our culture just walk away, just give up. You can look at that in the status of our marriages and relationships. You can look at that in the status of just the average person, that when things get difficult, we have a tendency just to walk away. When we are no longer comfortable, we avoid uncomfortable conversations. We avoid uncomfortable relationships. We avoid uncomfortable jobs. We just want to walk away. But honestly, where does that get us? It just keeps us moving from one thing to another, bouncing from one plane to another, all on the same level. It keeps our potential locked inside of our fears and our doubts. So before we discuss how to grow through discomfort, let's talk first about what are the things that keep us comfortable, that keep us where we are. Maybe not in the way you're thinking, but in the way that's actually keeping us from reaching our potential. So here we go. Number one, it's your cushy pay and the cushy job. Now, once again, isn't that the goal, to have a cush job and cush pay? Isn't that the goal, to be comfortable? Well, kind of. I mean, yeah, you want to be successful, you want to be comfortable, but the problem comes when we allow that comfort to be the ceiling of our growth. When we kind of hit a spot where we just say, this is it, I'm kind of comfortable here, I've got a decent pay, I've got a decent job, and all of a sudden we start to lose the motivation and the discipline. We start to lose the desire to get better, to grow, to reach a next level. So yeah, so go for that cushy job, go for that great pay. That's nothing wrong with that, but don't let that be the ceiling of your potential growth. Number two is when we resort to eating, sleeping, and entertainment to fill the void of discomfort. In other words, when we get comfortable, we have a natural tendency to want to do something, to want to improve. And when that comfort starts to turn to discomfort, if we're not careful, we will replace the urgency to grow, we'll replace that with entertainment. We'll start filling the void with eating, we'll fill the void with sleeping. In other words, instead of growing and pushing through the pain, we relieve the pain with temporary wins. We relieve the pain with a temporary fix that makes us feel good. We see this happen all the time, don't we? We see people that are reaching out for something to give them a little bit of life, when really what they need is to push through that discomfort, to get to that next level of excellence, the next level of growth in their life. And number three, feeling as though you've already arrived. You mix that feeling with comparing yourself to other people, and you, my friend, might be in trouble. So we start looking around and saying, well, at least my marriage isn't as bad as their marriage, or at least my wife or husband is not as bad as their spouse. At least my kids aren't like their kids. My job's not like their job, and on that goes. And if we're constantly looking back to compare ourselves with other people, then what's the desire for us to grow? See, the desire for us to grow, which we're going to get into in a moment, comes from deep within our own potential. It's right inside of who we are. And if we compare ourselves to other people mixed with feeling as though we've already arrived, then we get stuck. We really do get stuck where we are. And number four, it is the fear of change and the fear of failure. Listen, we cannot allow fear to get in the way. We can't allow the fear of failure. We can't allow the fear of change to keep us locked down, and we will. If we're not careful, fear will creep in a lot of ways. It will creep into a way that paralyzes us, and we're so afraid of making a next step. We're so afraid of making a wrong move. We're so afraid of, what if I step outside of my comfort zone and I actually want to grow? We get so afraid of the unknown that it keeps us locked exactly where we are. We cannot allow fear and doubt to keep us locked down And I know it's hard, right? Because it is fear. It's not knowing if I take that step, if I put myself out there, what's going to happen next. But if we allow it, fear of change and fear of failure will keep us exactly where we are. And quite honestly, what we should fear is being afraid that a year from now, I'm going to be in the same spot I am right now. Now that should terrify us. That should be part of the drive to get better, to have potential unlocked inside of us. I don't want to be where I am physically, emotionally, spiritually, relationally. I don't want to be where I am in my job a year from now. I want to be at a better place. But if we allow fear and doubt to creep in, it will keep us exactly where we are. All right, number 5. Number 5 is a close relative of number 4. Number 5 is self-doubt. Let me ask you a question. Who told you you can't? Who told you you can't fill in the blank? Who told you you're not good enough to do fill in the blank? Who told you that you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough? Who's told you that you're not good enough to do those things? And then the second question is, why are you listening to them? Why are you listening to the people and the opinions of other people trying to dictate your destiny? And once again, if we're not careful, we will allow self-doubt from the voices of other people, let alone our own voices. Let alone the own voices that when we look in the mirror, we have our own self-doubts and our own self-fears. So on top of that, when you start listening to those opinions of other people, when you start allowing those other voices to infiltrate into your very soul and your very being, it can keep us locked down from our true potential. And number 6, just good old-fashioned laziness. I'll do it tomorrow. Well, guess what? Today is yesterday's tomorrow. So what did you think you needed to do yesterday that you put off till today? And here's the game that we play. Once again, if we're not careful, what will happen is that we'll say tomorrow. Well, then tomorrow ends up being several days, and several days ends up being a couple of weeks, and then months. And then if we're not careful, it could be years. And here we are, instead of growing through the discomfort, instead of going through the pain of growth, instead of getting to that next level, we could let laziness just put us to sleep emotionally, put us to sleep in our destiny, and the world is going by us, and then we're just do it tomorrow. Henry Cloud said it this way: we will change our behavior when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Consequences give us the motivation to change. That's a true statement, isn't it? Until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain to change, most people will never change. But see, that's what this is about. We're trying to get ahead of that. We're trying to get ahead of the pain of being so much the same is so great that we have to change. We're trying to get ahead of that to just embracing the discomfort of change, the discomfort of growth. At the end of the day, being stuck stinks. No way around it. There is pain in leadership growth, but it is a pain that is so worth enduring for the growth and the potential that's just on the other side of the discomfort. Napoleon Hill said this. He said that strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. If we're going to grow, if we're going to get stronger, it comes through the continuous effort. It comes through the continuous discomfort of growth and the pains of growth. That is how we become stronger. That is how we become better. So now let me talk to you about 5 ways to grow through the discomfort. Number 1, you've got to answer the why question. Why do you want to grow? Why are you watching this video? Why are you looking up leadership? Why are you desiring to grow? See, if you have a strong why, it keeps you focused. Having a strong why gives you purpose. It gives you direction. So why do you want to grow? Answer that question, and you will be on your way to grow even through the discomfort and the pain of growth. Number 2, identify where you need to grow. And maybe you got to make a list. Maybe this is a good exercise to even write down, well, why do I want to grow? And then a quick number 2 is, where do I need to grow? What part of my life needs the most attention? Where do I need to grow? Do I need to grow better physically? Do I need to grow emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Do I need to grow in my trade, in my profession? Where do you need to grow? And then here you go. Start doing it. Take one step towards that growth. So number 1, identify why. Number 2, identify where I need to grow, and then start. And number 3, try something new. Just try something new. Who knows? Maybe there's something new you haven't even tried yet. Live a little bit. Do something maybe outside of your normal character that's new. Not that long ago, my daughter and I were down in Mexico, and we were walking past one of the pyramids. And as we're walking past the pyramids, they have a bunch of buckets out there with insects that were cooked and they had seasoning on them. And so the person there was offering free samples, and I didn't want to try it. I'm thinking, I don't want to eat a bug. Like, I don't want to try that. I've never had it before. I didn't know if I would like it or not. I don't want to try it. Out of the corner of my eye, I see my daughter, who is 14, reaching her hand and grabbing one of the insects, pops it in her mouth, and keeps on walking like nothing happened. She's never had insects before either. But she wasn't afraid to try something new, and she had an experience that I missed out on because I didn't want to try it. I was back there a few months later without my daughter, and in the same spot, same pyramid, same buckets, same person. This time though, I stopped. This time I grabbed a cricket, I think it was a cricket, threw it in my mouth, ate it. Wasn't terrible, wouldn't do it all the time. But here's a small example. This is a silly example, right? But I didn't want to walk past there missing out again on a new experience. I don't want to live my life wondering what if. Do you? Do you want to live your life wondering, well, what if I took that chance? What if I tried that thing that I was afraid of? What if I stepped out and did something new? I do not want to live my life with my last breath on my deathbed wondering what ifs. Number 4, discipline, not motivation, is the problem. Your problem and my problem is not motivation, although we like to blame that. We like to say that our problem is motivation. The problem is really discipline. See, once again, I've identified the why. I know where I need to grow in my life. I'm willing to try something new. I'm willing to step out there. Now it comes down to the hard part. Discipline. It's easy to write things on a marker board. It's easy to take down some notes. It's easy maybe to be self-aware and identify where you need to grow, but now it's where it gets challenging. Now you got to actually do it. That's not motivation, that's discipline. So maybe it's getting up early the next day. Maybe it's setting a goal to get up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's staying later. Maybe it's working harder. Maybe it's doing another rep. Maybe it's a date night. Whatever it is, what is the discipline that you need to start doing now? And then once again, implement it. Start doing it. So maybe it's setting some small growth goals that you can reach and become disciplined in order to form the habit to make the proper change to change your life. And number 5, you've got to push through the fear, because it's going to be scary, it's going to be painful, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you have to push through that. Do not allow fear to keep you pushed down. I was reminded of a movie quote from the movie We Bought a Zoo. The character in there, Benjamin Mee, had an incredible statement that I think will really help you understand what it takes to push through the fear. And so I'm going to read it to you. He said it this way. He said, "You know, sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage. Just literally 20 seconds of just embarrassing bravery. And I promise you, something great will come of it." I love that statement. It's true. What if the only thing holding you back is you? It's your own fears. What if it only took 20 seconds of insane courage? What if it only took 20 seconds of embarrassing bravery to do something new, to do something fresh, to get you kickstarted in the right direction? And just know that on the other side of that fear could be something absolutely amazing. So, what are you waiting for? The better version of you is just ahead of you. Can you see it? Can you visualize and see that better version of you that's just ahead of you? So what are you waiting for? Start now. And if nobody has told you this lately, let me remind you, you can do this. You got this. Well, hey, once again, I'm Andy. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I do hope that it helped you to reach your potential, to identify your purpose, and to live your life with passion.